Pope Francis's favourite political themes were embraced at his funeral in front of thousands at the Vatican overnight. As hundreds of world leaders, including Christopher Luxon, listened, Italian Cardinal Giovanni Battista Re called for action on global climate change, an end to wars and care of migrants. And he repeated one of the Pope's strongest criticisms of Donald Trump, calling on him to build bridges, not walls. Senior reporter Juliet Speedy has more.
The doors of St. Peter's Basilica opened, and under the perfect spring sun, one final time, Pope Francis was carried out to meet his people. Not just the leader of a church, but also a head of state, farewelled by around 170 of his fellow heads of state and government. The world's Catholics said goodbye to their pontiff, as did the wealthy, the poor, pilgrims and refugees. A simple service at Pope Francis's request, though nothing ever feels truly simple in the embrace of one of the world's greatest Renaissance basilicas, before a congregation of some 400,000. Led by their cardinals and less usually a sea of hundreds of bishops and clergymen. From above it looked like a sea of the faithful, a tide of prayer. Offer your peace, was the request, as congregants and world leaders alike offered a handshake as a sign of peace to their neighbour. The eulogy quoted Pope Francis's own often repeated words on war and peace. War always leaves the world worse than it was before. It is always a painful and tragic defeat for everyone. Among the kings and queens, Prince William representing his father. Among world leaders, UK's Sir Keir Starmer and US President Donald Trump. And Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky, who was greeted with applause. A final blessing for the 266th Pope beneath a sea of crimson cardinals watching on. Indistinguishable now, but one will soon be chosen as his successor. New Zealand's Cardinal John Dew stood among them and said he felt emotional, reflecting on a pontificate that stretched across 12 extraordinary years. He said the Mass was very beautifully done, very simply done, and that the silence too at times was amazing. There were thousands and thousands of people there, but just before we sung the Litany of the Saints, there was this absolute silence. Prime Minister Christopher Luxon was also there and said it was an honour to represent New Zealand at the Vatican. Not everyone made it inside. In the side streets, sound carried on the spring breeze, and in a gesture Pope Francis would have loved, priests brought communion out to the people.
I think he was one of the most normal popes, like in the sense that he was really human.
The 90-minute Mass was celebrated not just in Rome, but across Italy and across the world. Cardinal Dew will become the third New Zealander to participate in a conclave, once the 9 days of mourning end next Sunday. Francis's final move in a Pope-mobile through the streets to his beloved church of Santa Maria Maggiore. This was the church he came to when he first became Pope. It was his dying wish to return at the end. This was a celebration of a man who was happiest when surrounded by people, and that is exactly how he was farewelled. Among divided leaders and ordinary people, there were no borders, only the peace Pope Francis dreamed of.